All right, another great preferred partner here at Indie Agency News. Fully vetted, committed to the mission of helping indies grow. Let's talk about YouTube. It's one of the largest video platforms in the world, and for most agencies, one of the trickiest to run well. Black box pricing, fragmented expertise, dollars going who knows where. Our preferred partner, Nuance, was built to fix exactly that. Dedicated YouTube specialists, transparent reporting, and a performance reinvestment model that puts optimization savings back into your campaigns. They're already working with Noble People, Pereira Odell, and Obsessed Media, Indie Agency News members. Nuance, transparency meets performance on YouTube. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for supporting Indie Agency News. And if you have not gone to Indie HQ yet, please do. That's the new platform, indiehq.com. That's where you get a chance to actually understand what it is we do, especially around services for our members. And you can learn more about membership by hopping on over there, indiehq.com. And where do I start with this one? I've been rolling through my head, like, how do I approach this interview? How do I approach this conversation? And, listen, we're indie, and I think that we are a little more tongue in cheek about how we approach talking about holding companies. And we get it. Holding companies still have an important role to play. It's just different now, and that's okay. This industry evolves, this industry changes, and some of the things that were old are new again. And part of that is indies, because DDB was independent once. Ogilvy was independent once. And there are many, many people who have had very successful careers in the holdco world, who are, some unfortunately not by choice, but others by choice are choosing to get into the Indiehood. One of whom joins us today, a good friend of mine from days of yore. Oh my God. Days of yore. It's so funny because you sent me, Walt, Geer joining us. So you sent me a screenshot of an article that we did when I was at Adweek, and it was 6 years ago, right?
6 years ago, as of like a week ago.
Yeah, and that's what's so funny is it's not that long. It feels like almost yesterday. It's like it's been 6 years since I was at Adweek. But here we are. But yeah, I think one of the things about this business, and I tell young and new people this, is like, this is a huge industry but a small business. And Walt and I got to know each other far before those 6 years ago, and have been, I'm lucky to call him a friend.
Absolutely.
So, just lucky to call him a friend first, and then life's a mullet. So we had a little business up front with the article and a little party in the back with the friendship. Yeah. But I'm excited to have you here because, and I know that people are going to be looking at this going, but wait a second, Walt works for VML, or does he?
But yeah, man. It's first I want to say I appreciate you, my man. We've been through quite the journey. You've
no doubt
helped raise my bar quite a bit over the years, man. And for that I'm fortunate. It's funny, when I saw that article, I was like, damn, this is like 6 years to the day. And we can do this dance again. Look, I got to be honest with you, man. It's like, I am incredibly proud of what I built and who I became during my 6 years at VML. I had, the opportunity to lead across health when I first got there, brand, experience design, recently innovation, and to prove that, creativity can do more than just sell something, right? It can change, how people see themselves. It can change how brands participate in culture, and at its best, how people experience the world, right? But I think there are moments in your career when, the most courageous thing you can do is create space before deciding what comes next. And I think that's where I am right now, right? Like I'm taking the time to really kind of think bigger, reconnect with what matters most, and make the next, chapter, we'll figure it out, right? And,
Right.
make sure, my next chapter isn't simply, just another job, but the right mission. And so, to be fair to myself and to be fair to VML, I didn't want to go kind of like secretly going and interviewing and here and there. I'm kind of tossing the dice and doing a bit of a gamble with, just saying, you know what, let's kind of part ways, and let me put it out there that I'm leaving, and see who comes, right? I think my opportunities will be greater if I'm able to just kind of step out, but also just be in the moment, man. It feels great to just do nothing and wake up and go to the gym, and I'm cycling like 100 miles a week. It's good. Family time is good, and I think everybody in their career needs that moment to just stop.
Oh, I mean, yeah, no, that's 100% true, and I think that the things that have always stood out to me, and you said the word mission, which is interesting, and I know that that's a word, and I get it. Like we have a mission too, but we believe in it, and you're the type of person where you have belief in things.
Yeah.
Where I think that your time at VML, Jon Cook, to his credit, gave you a lot of really interesting opportunities to grow. And I want to go back to the health thing, because there's this kernel in me, and what really stood out to me was your advocacy for Black patients, which was a really interesting, because again, as somebody who's half Italian and white and all that stuff, and for you to talk about the differences between how healthcare treats how Black patients, and especially Black men, that for whatever reason, that thing stuck to me, and I feel like that's an interesting foundation for you, because what you're doing here in some ways is a wellness thing, but I also think that when I think of that and other things that you have done throughout your time at VML, there's a mission piece of it, but there's also this advocacy piece of it. I'd like you to think about your time at VML and going from health into the other parts of your career, where you felt as though that you built the best advocacy, not simply for yourself, but best advocacy based upon the work that you were doing.
Yeah. Thank you for that. I think that advertising is such an interesting space, right? And I tell people all the time, this is a space where if you want, you can change the world, right? You can shift perception, because if you think about the amount of dollars and hundreds and millions of dollars that brands are pumping into selling their products by way of telling stories, right? It's so much opportunity, right? And what you can and can't do. And it's interesting, because when I got into this, agency world, prior to VML at TBWA, I came in and did health. And quite frankly, I was like, I don't think I want to be like, am I sure I want to do this? But it got me into the agency space, and I was able to work with some incredible people over there at TBWA. But like, what it made me realize is like the power that we as creatives actually have to change the world. And while, don't get me wrong, I love doing all the cool, fun shit with like
no doubt,
and all these brands, but then I found it as an opportunity to say, like I can actually create opportunity to change someone's life. And the impact that I make on someone coming behind me will then make an impact on my daughter. And I think your perception on work and the things that we do shift drastically when you have a child, right? And so, yeah, I mean, and also too, like when I think of advertising, like what makes advertising powerful is when you have the ability to really elicit emotion from an individual. And doing that means telling stories that people really understand and get. But nailing those stories mean you have to really hit on subtle nuances from people's lives, depending upon whatever culture or community you're actually tapping into. So the advert work, quite frankly, came from the fact that, again, a personal story, right? A very close friend of mine, Timothy Moore, who also worked with me for about a couple years, literally, a week before Christmas, hits me up, like, hey man, I'm going to the ER, not feeling too well. and that was that. Like I had sent him like a bottle of champagne. I was trying to get his address to send him some champagne that evening, and nothing. And next thing you know, what had happened was, went to the ER. He sat in the emergency room, the waiting room, for around 8 or 9 hours. During that time, he was complaining about his leg. Something's wrong with my leg. I'm telling you, there's something wrong. I have to be seen. They were telling him, sit, relax, don't worry. Again, kind of dismissing his pain and dismissing some of the problems he was going through. Meanwhile, he was texting the young lady, one of his friends. One of the last things he said to her was, I feel like I'm going to die waiting to get help. And that's exactly what happened. And this is in New Jersey, right? He died sitting in the waiting room, waiting to get help in the emergency room. It makes no fucking sense. And so that is how the work kind of came about. And you start to do the research and see people like even Serena Williams, who has to advocate for her life, is wild as fuck. You're talking about a woman who knows her body probably better than any human being on the planet. That's her job. And so great work comes from a place of telling stories that people can connect with and understand because they've been there. And when you're able to do that, man, you can do significant fucking things. And that, again, whether that be in health, auto, wherever, there's a multitude of spaces, but like the storytelling we have and can wield is tremendous.
Mm-hmm. I want you to now listen. I'm not asking you to like crystal ball this thing. I want you to have some chill time. You've earned it. You've earned the chance to just, you know what the Brits call it, and you worked for the Brits. It's a gardening holiday. a gardening day. My shitty English accent. Yeah, doing a little You doing a little gardening? And then let me ask you. I'm good. I love that term though. So, you know, obviously you're going to take some time to just savor, just savor a little bit. But as you look at the way that the independent world is shaping up, and there, candidly, there has been, especially in the freelance world, some of the greatest creatives are independent, right? And so, yet at the same time, there are these, I would say that these micro communities that continue to coalesce that in the aggregate turn into this really interesting space. You have the freelancers, then you have a fractional person, then you have this, and I affectionately call the fractional person the Moggses. That's nod to my friend Howard Moggs. Mr. Fractional. Oh my God. Okay, so we have to come up with Mr. and Miss Fractional or Mrs. Fractional award. But as you look at this, and you obviously have seen what's been going on in this independent space.
Yeah.
And I'm not asking you to say this is what I'm planning on doing. What have you noticed that you say, oh, you know what? I could vibe off of this and maybe do that. And then maybe not this, maybe not that. I'm curious about what you've observed in the independent space.
Yeah, I mean, look, what's clear is that there's a hell of a lot of fucking really great talent that's going in that space. And I think, like myself, I think it's because a lot of folks are kind of realizing, wait, maybe what if I kind of pump the brakes a little bit? What would things look like if I went to start my own thing? Or what would things look like if I went to an independent agency? Look, don't get me wrong. VML is an incredible place. WPB is a great holding agency. There's a tremendous amount of talent in some of these places and some of the best I've ever worked with in my career. But the reality is also that, like, you know, what makes independent agencies interesting is the flexibility, right? The ability to move quick and pivot quick, which is harder. Like, it's harder. And forget holding agencies for a second. When you're at a large organization, it's hard to pivot and move very quickly. It's hard to, you know, find the right talent very quickly and get them on a project, right? It's not easy. And so what I think is interesting is you're finding a lot of folks, especially a lot of senior leaders, that are leaving some of these agencies and going and starting their own thing. And quite frankly, you're able to make a lot more, right? The overhead isn't.
Yeah, that's real. Yeah.
You know? And so, you know, look, I'm being very intentional about not rushing to announce whatever's next. I'm having some, really incredibly exciting conversations, but, for me, I think the opportunity has to be bigger than a role or a title, right? I'm looking at, where I can build. I'm looking at where I can create ownership and where my experience across, culture, innovation, technology, and brand transformation can really have the greatest impact. So I am open to all things, but, I'm also being very, very deliberate.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Now in the, and this is sort of like an In Living Color meets Chappelle thing, but like, if we were to draft some Holdco people, I like Jon Cook. I've had a chance to chat with Jon Cook. I would, listen, I would like, hey, you need to build an indie. Like, yeah, I'd bring Jon Cook in on that one.
Jon, I will tell you, he is like major reason why I actually went to VML.
No, and I get that, and I would like you to talk about that because, again, I think we're clearly very, very indie, and we do like to poke the bear quite a bit, but we do acknowledge that people like Jon Cook have established important roles in the industry, not simply in the Holdco world. But talk a little bit more about Jon and what he built, because that's a lot of pressure, and he's been there longer than a minute, and he's seen all of it, but he really does open things up for people.
Yeah, and it's part of, again, why I went there is because it's hard to find senior leaders who are genuine, right? And humble, right? I mean, this guy that, like, first few meetings I went into with him, and, the guy that's not afraid to say, I don't understand something. Can you explain it to me like a kindergartner? Right? Like, you're not going to see many leaders, execs kind of do that. But it's that kind of generosity and humbleness that made me, want to work there, because I think there's a trickle down effect, right? When you go to organizations like that, it trickles down from the top, and so you'll find, everyone will be great, and that's part of why I love my time there at VML. Jon, what he's done with that brand with VML, my God, is just tremendous. And you want to talk about transformation over the years. I mean, starting out of Kansas City as a digital agency, and then, like, merging with all these agencies, these giants within the space, and still standing.
Yeah.
I mean, look who's left.
Right.
Look around. Look who was there and look who's left. Right. Not you. And they've just done a really incredible job. And, he's got a ton on his fucking plate now with his new role across WPP Creative.
Right.
And he's come from like a few person agency, like 20, 25 person agency, to now like 34, 35,000 employees. That's insane.
Yeah, it's not a small number.
By any means, man. I wouldn't want that job.
Is he a Chiefs fan?
Oh my God, yeah, man. He's like at all the games, man, and all the bowls.
All right. Go Birds. Listen, by the way, eyewear Supreme. I'm enjoying that. That's some new eyewear, isn't it?
Yes, it is. That's what's up. I dig it.
Yeah, your eyewear is very, very solid. So we got the little teardrop. We got like the 70s buddy cop show going right here with the we got the teardrops from 1978.
My problem is sneakers and glasses.
Dude, my wife gives me so much shit about so let's talk about our eyewear journeys. So these are Masanaga.
Okay.
So these are for, like, I'm an old head. So, like, this is, I need my glasses for the computer. So these are my computer glasses.
Wait, are you on progressives yet?
Dude, I've been on progressive. I'm 57 years old. I've been on progressive since I was like 18. No, I'm kidding. That's a bit hyperbolic. So these are Masanaga. This is another pair of Masanaga. So I'm currently in the Masanaga thing. There was a stretch where, and I would say it was a good 6 years, Scandinavian only.
Okay, that's interesting.
And then I went British, and so these are what is the name of this company? Cubits. I got these. Well, I first saw them in Brighton. This is like the bougiest conversation ever. But I saw them in Brighton, and I was like, I got to get these. So now I want you to guess what the next one is going to be. And I want you to think about through the lens of the World Cup. Specifically, there may be a coach out there that had some banging eyewear that's next on the list. Remember the Swiss coach? Did you see him?
No.
Oh,
no.
That's next.
I missed it.
So it's a company called Gotti or Goat. It's
Okay.
the umlauts on top of the O. So apologies to the Swiss. But that's gonna be the next one. So I'm gonna go a little Swiss on that.
I'm gonna have to check it out.
Yeah. So tell me, okay, so how many pairs of glasses do you believe that you have?
Oh God, I don't know. I'll show you. You want me to show you what's next to me?
Yeah, no doubt. Yes.
Dude, this is my glasses case.
Get out. I just Elaine Benist.
So
yeah, there it is. Where's that pair that I've always seen? Okay, yeah.
There's a few.
Yeah, I think that I could probably fill two of them. I still have a pair of Oliver Peoples from 1991 that my brother gave me as a graduation gift. The only issue I have with it makes me look a little bit like Speaker Mike Johnson. So anything that makes me look like that asshole, I'm like, I'm not gonna wear that. All right, listen.
Yes, sir.
What are there people out there in the indie space that, I mean, obviously you've got a lot of love and respect for a lot of people in these spaces, but are there specific people that you look at and go, they're doing some really dope shit?
Yeah. It's interesting. This is funny. I'll tell you a person who I've always admired since the first time I actually saw her. So I was at a conference, 3% conference in Chicago. And this might've been like, I don't know, like 8 years ago, something like that, 8 or 9 years ago. And I was just so floored by everything that she was saying on the stage. And also because at that time, I think she was an ECD or was she a group? I think she's a group creative director. And I was like, oh my gosh. And what was incredible is like, there's a moment where this other young lady got up to ask her a question. And when she asked the question, she started crying as she was asked the question. She said, oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. This is the first time I've actually had a conversation with a GCD who's another woman. And so it was a really powerful moment that I think we all kind of paused at. But she's done a lot of big agencies and then went.
Hold on, I think I know who you're talking about.
I know who you know what I'm talking about.
Boogie?
Yes.
Shannon Washington.
Yeah, Shannon. And so like I've always admired her, and it's funny because I go to her a lot for her opinion on things and my work. Hey, look at this spy. What do you think of this?
Yeah.
And she's incredibly, incredible, creative, great visionary, and just really has her finger on the pulse.
Also Jersey.
Yeah, also Jersey. Yeah. And I really, admire the work that she's actually doing.
Yeah.
So that's the one I'd say that I wouldn't have an issue with working by any means.
I mean, listen, with our growing community, the door is open. We got plenty of people we can introduce.
Yeah. Absolutely. But dude, there's so many really great creatives out there. It's hard to name them all, man. It's like, I look at things by, the work and kind of what inspires me, what makes me feel good. And it's, to be honest with you, like, I feel like, I don't know, man, you saw the Super Bowl spots this last year. Like, I don't think that there were many that were really like hitting. I think that CMOs are a bit more fearful right now.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's like,
it's fallow ground.
Yeah. We're missing, I think that as an industry, we're missing like the boldness and the braveness. Like, where the fuck did that go? You know what I mean? Like, when I go someplace, I want to go someplace and fuck shit up, right? Like, I want to come in and flip tables and do shit that's just going to really disrupt the moment. And I think that part of that means like, what are we doing with like applying technology and in creative ways that makes people feel something. And we've lost that because I think we're in this moment now. Everyone's like, AI is fucking great. I use it all the time.
Yeah.
But like, we've lost the feeling in the work.
Oh, right? Yeah. No, listen, I say this to my students all the time. Beautiful is a subjective term, but yeah, and interesting can be, but people are drawn to interesting and beautiful things.
Yeah.
And it's whatever lens they're looking through. And that's what's really interesting. And I think that we talk about AI and technology and all that stuff. And listen, I'm exactly in the same boat. This whole thing wouldn't exist without Claude.
Yeah.
So it's just like, let's be honest here. But I do believe that is one step of many to get to people feeling things.
Yeah. It's, and I say this a lot. It's about understanding the subtle nuances, right?
Nuance. Yep.
And it's like, and to do that means you really like, and I talk about like tapping into culture and what culture means, right? It means, understanding lived experiences. And so when we're doing this work, that like Claude and ChatGPT does not do that, cannot do that. Right. So I'm a big fan of like when we're working on these pieces of work, like you have to ensure that you have people that represent the communities you're trying to reach on the work, right? Because those are the individuals that are going to be able to see through and really feel, things. And why brands, I think right now are fearful is because sometimes tapping into cultural, type of work makes them look a particular way, we'll say, right? And no one wants to get called out on social media or by a certain administration, I'll say. But it can be done in smart, clever ways, right? It's like the work that I did with Covered California most recently, for the Love of Californias. I mean, that was like, we did a spot for African-American community. And it was like, okay, how do we actually go over the subtle nuances that African-American community is going to see and recognize and instantly feel that connection that maybe someone else will completely bypass, right? Again, subtle nuances. We had a child running down the stairs to go meet his mother at the door, right? And then in doing so, he was wearing a wetsuit and carrying a towel, dropped the towel before he saw his mom, hugged his mom, and then his dad is standing outside of the door holding a surfboard. Stereotype.
Yeah, the LBC is very different than and even when you talk about LA, I mean, it's just like there's nuances within that too.
Absolutely. And so like, Maya Angelou says, people forget what they've said and what they've done, but they'll never forget the way that you made them feel.
Right.
And so the work needs to go back to this moment of like making people feel a certain way, eliciting an emotion, whether it's anger, frustration, excitement. That's what we fucking need to go back to.
Yeah. Preach.
Yeah.
Reverend Geer. I like it. Listen, we can sit here and talk all day, but for the sanity of the people watching, we probably shouldn't. But here's what I will say is that, as you get settled into this and down the road, we'll all go just have some hang time in New York. So, we'll just go do that. We'll go hang out and people are welcome to join us.
Yes,
so,
sir. Yes,
yeah.
sir. I'm down.
Listen, Walt, congratulations. And excited to see what's next, but listen, take some time, enjoy. And on behalf of everybody here at Indie HQ, welcome to the Indiehood.
I appreciate you, man.